made in '88, I believe, 1987. But this one, to me, had to come in at number 3. It is my third favorite Halloween sequel of all time. I absolutely love this one. This one bringing Danielle Harris to the role of Jamie, obviously being Laurie Strode's daughter, which I thought was a cool way to take it. After Halloween 2, you really didn't know what was going to happen, and then you get Halloween 3, and you're like, they completely fucked up. They messed Michael Myers up completely. He's not coming back, and they had to find a way to do it without Jamie Lee Curtis. So bringing in Danielle Harris as Jamie Lloyd was the best route I think they could have taken. And I really liked Ellie Cornell as Rachel. Ellie Cornell as Rachel. Loved her in this, kind of stepping up to being that, I guess you wouldn't say really lead role, because, that belongs to Danielle Harris, but supporting actress, I guess you could say, being kind of like her. She is her stepsister, but her big sister, and taking care of her throughout the film. Loved everything about this one, besides the mask. Now, it's grown on me as I've gotten older, and every time I watch it, I don't see a problem with it. It doesn't make me cringe, or it doesn't take me out of the film, but the mask, guys, yeah, not a huge fan of the mask, although I understand why they had to do it, and why they had to use that mask, and completely understand all of that. Bringing Donald Pleasance back as Dr. Loomis was the greatest thing that they did for this film, I believe, because if you don't have Donald Pleasance, it takes it. That's another problem with H2O for me. It really took me out of it not having Donald Pleasance, and of course he passed before they made it, it is so sad, because if you don't have Donald Pleasance, it's not really a Halloween film. It really isn't. You got to have Donald Pleasance in there as Dr. Loomis to complete the puzzle, to really complete Michael. And another thing I love, guys, love the October Halloweenish atmosphere in this movie. Other than Part 2 other than the original Part 2, this is the one that had it the most. Love it. Love the acting. Michael was a fucking tank in this movie, though. He destroys everyone that he comes across. With his bare hands a lot of the time, and a couple occasions. Love this sequel, and love the acting, love the directing. This one was directed by Dwight H. Little. So, yeah, everything about this one, guys, always enjoyed it since I was a kid. Remember watching the Halloween films back-to-back on AMC when I was younger, and that was the one they played the most, or seemed to play the most, other than the original two. And love it. Always have and always will. So coming in at number 2, guys, you all probably already know my top 2, but I'm going to show them. Love this movie, guys. TCM2, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, made in 1986. This one, guys, for me, is another one, I don't want to, repeat what I've been saying, but another one I grew up on, and another one a lot of people I'm seeing a lot of people don't like. I know a bunch of people do, but there's a lot of people who really dislike this movie for whatever reason, and I feel like it's the comedy. But if you look at the original, Tobe Hooper made, which is the original masterpiece, one of my favorite horror films of all time, that film was banned in many different locations. That film was shit on for years. Taking the black comedy, horror comedic route was really the only thing the guy could do. So I don't blame him for doing that. Love Caroline Williams in this one, guys. Bill Moseley is Chop Top. Chop Top, as you can see over there, is one of my favorite horror characters of all time. Love Chop Top. They added a lot of comedy to Leatherface's character as well with the chainsaw dance. But it's great. What can I say? Dennis Hopper in there is Lefty. Fucking badass. Take it all down. Burn it to hell. Like that. It's just great. It's just great seeing Dennis Hopper in this movie. Love everything about it. Lefty. Let's see. Drew a blank once again. Been drawing a blank a lot. So Dennis Hopper's Lefty is what I left off, talking about. They also brought the character, or the guy who played the original Drayton Sawyer back. And I can't think of his name right now either. Okay. But Chop Top is probably the best part, most noticeable or memorable part about this film. But the gore, too. It is very gory to be, like a black comedy, horror comedy style film. It is still a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, and it had way more gore than the original film did. I don't really get the hate or the dislike towards this movie, but, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, and everybody can feel the way they want to feel about any of these sequels that I've just mentioned. This is simply my opinion. But yeah, loved everything about this one. Classic 1986 film. Love the vibe, love the comedy, love the horror, love the directing, love the acting, love everything about TCM2. So yeah, and sorry if I seem a little bit rushy here, guys. I'm trying to get through this as fast as I can because I do have to go somewhere. So yeah, moving on. My number one, guys. Obviously, everyone knows it, but my number one is a classic 1981 film. And it is Halloween 2. This is my favorite horror sequel of all time for many reasons. I could talk an hour about this movie. I love how they pick up directly after the original left off. For me, I watch Halloween 2 back to back. It's one big movie to me. It always has been. Absolutely love Halloween, the original, my favorite horror film of all time. Halloween 2 is my second favorite horror film of all time, simply because it is one big movie. I love the hospital setting, although in a lot of ways it doesn't feel like a real hospital because there's not a lot of people there. I know that's been a lot of people's complaints, and I see that as well, but I still love it. Michael Myers is brutal in this one. It really starts his brutal type kills, coming from the original Halloween. Shows a lot more blood in this one because Halloween was practically bloodless in a lot of ways. I mean, it had blood a little bit here and there, but it was practically bloodless. It left all of the killing to the viewer's imagination, and when we see the bodies at the end of the film, much like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre did. Back then, it wasn't about shock factor, blood, guts, gore. It was about trying to make it suspenseful and trying to leave it to the viewer's imagination, which I feel is what a lot of horror films now, are lacking. And then you had the mid-'80s where it was all about shock value and blood, guts, and gore. Don't get me wrong, I love gore, but it doesn't beat out, Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Black Christmas, A Nightmare on Elm Street, which was also pretty gory. But, all the classic Psycho, it left it to the viewer's imagination to see what you wanted to see. And it wasn't boom in your face like, oh shit, like it wasn't gory, but it did its job. It showed. This one, had a little bit more gore in it, like I was saying, over the original film. And that's what I really enjoy about this one, is it was ballsy, too. It went from Halloween 1978 to Halloween 2 1981, playing it the same night. You can clearly tell some of the characters look different. I mean, it's 3 years later, obviously you're going to be able to. But it didn't take me out of the movie. I just love it. Love the kills, love the acting. Jamie Lee Curtis, Donald Pleasance. Everyone did a great job. Dick Warlock taking over for Nick Castle in this film. A really shorter Michael, but a very creepy and demonic type Michael. This is his robotic type stage, where the physical movement was just so stiff and so robotic type that took his humanity out of it and made him the shape, made him the being. And that's what I love about it, guys. I love everything about Halloween 2. Classic film, classic horror film. If you haven't seen it, you gotta see it. If you haven't seen any of these sequels, like if you're a horror fan, you absolutely have to see these movies. So I'm gonna go through my list. Halloween 2, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Halloween 4, Dawn of the Dead, A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master, A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors, Friday 13th Part 4, The Final Chapter, Leprechaun 3, Pet Sematary 2, and lastly, Halloween H2O. So that's my list, guys. Sorry if I got tongue-tied. I know I did a lot of times within this video. Gotta go somewhere, and yeah, it was like a 20-some minute video, so I definitely messed up a few times within this video, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. Stay tuned, guys. Next week we will be doing horror battles, so stay tuned for that, and it'll be a great week. Thank you so much for watching. I'm the Jay Sloan. You just watched Late Night Frights. You watched my top 10 favorite horror sequels of all time. And until next time, guys, comment, subscribe, and as always, keep it horror. Peace.